Evening all, hiya, how are you? I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me this evening, and it's nice to see, wow, 131 people here already. No, that's really awesome, so thank you very much indeed for joining me. As usual, the demonstration will start at 7:30, so we've got about 20 minutes to wait. And for those of you who might have seen this on Facebook earlier on, here is the black lacquer piece. So I'll just leave you with that for a few minutes. If I can just get it upright, that would help, wouldn't it? I'll put that camera back later. Oop, steady as she goes. There, right. I've got a few bits and pieces to do before we get started. In fact, that's so dark. I don't know what it looks like on YouTube. Let me have a look. Oh, it looks okay. See, if I get really close to it, you might be able to see my reflection in it. I'm so happy with that. Right, so I just need to have a little bit of a tidy up because I haven't had a tidy up since, well, before I did the live on Saturday, the fly on the wall thing. So I'm not reading any comments at the minute, so talk amongst yourselves for a bit. I'll try not to keep you too long. I see. I did see a few people asking what lathe I've got. I used the Axminster. It used to be called the AT2030. I know it's changed its name now, and I can never remember what the new name is. So it's the big trade lathe. Thank you for your comments on the. Oh, I am reading comments now, by the way. Oh yeah, thank you for the comments on the lacquer piece. It's got. Oh, come on! I'm just putting a bowl gouge back in its handle. It's got about, I think that's 12 or 15 coats of lacquer, and the actual piece itself is beech. So that's a piece of beech. It stands. How high is it? About 160 mil, which is 6.5 inches or so. Something like that, and there's about 2.5 days work on it, I suppose. Just on finishing. Because anybody who joined us for the lacquer demonstrations week past will know that lacquering to get a glass-like finish like that takes a long time and a lot of effort too. Oh, that piano music is stuck in my head. I've got the doors open this evening. It's a beautiful evening outside, so I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me this evening. This is a debut demonstration. I only finished it, or I only finished putting the graphics together about 2 hours ago. It's that new, so I've never actually performed it, as it were. So it's brand new, and hopefully it'll be interesting. It might get you, as the title suggests, it might get you thinking a bit, because that's the aim of it, I suppose. Right, you all finished looking at that? Because I ought to put it away, really. Very carefully. I bought it wrapped up in my fleece, so I'll go and put it over. I'll go and put it round the corner where I can't knock it over by accident. I better take this away as well. Yeah, so hello everybody. If you've just joined in, there's 158 people now, which is great. Better put the turntable away somewhere as well. Tell you what, I'll leave it on the side over there and get rid of these two bits. Who just asked what I was going to do with it? Oh, Leisure asked what am I going to do with it. I'm going to keep hold of that piece and take it with me to in-person demonstrations and shows and stuff when we are eventually allowed back out to see each other. Now I do have a little bit of fiddling around to do with the cameras, as per usual. I've done most of them. I've got 5 cameras now. So I do need to do the focus on. Where's it gone? That one. Oh, and I need to adjust it as well. Put it back to where it was, that would be helpful. That'll do. And just sort out its focus too. I think I might have already done it. I can't remember. No, I hadn't. There we go. So there's that one. And done the overhead. Right, okay. Cool. Boo, boo, boo. The new cameras are actually a Logitech C920 knockoff, because you can't get the Logitech C920 at the moment for love nor money. They are just very rare at the moment. So what I've got now is just a couple of things I picked up off of Amazon from a company called Papalook. I looked at some of the reviews on the website, on various websites, and they've got good reviews, and I'm really happy with how they perform. Let me show you the that needs its focusing done. Bear with me a second. In fact, I think I've already done it, but that one is actually quite close to. There we go. So I've put this camera in, which is one of the new Papalook ones, right up close, so you can get a good idea of what gouges and stuff are doing. And the other one is this one, the overhead. Let me just show you that one. So that's the overhead. So that view there is 2 new cameras, which I'm really pleased with. And I can't show you the other one at the moment, or can I? Can I show you that one? No. So ignore that. Yeah. So the other camera I haven't got clued up to anything yet. So yeah, I'm well chuffed with that. But I don't know why I've got that there. We've got a lot of talking to do before what? So I am a little bit tired still, even though I've had sort of 2 weeks off. I am still a little bit tired, and this particular demonstration has been exhausting trying to figure it out. It's taken me weeks. I published that I was going to do it sometime towards the tail end of April, I think, and now we're nearly 3/4 of the way through May, and I haven't done it yet because it's taken me a long time to actually figure it out and get it straight in my head in order to present it as simply as possible, and trying to convert my thoughts into diagrams and stuff, and but you'll see anyway. It's been a real nightmare. This morning I only had 3 of the 13 slides done. I think it's 13, maybe 14 slides. I only had 3 of them done. So ba, 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 ba. 199 people. Who's going to be the 200th person, I wonder? Oh, Phil Bolter, show your t-shirt. There we are. For those of you who watch demonstrations and stuff, one of the things I'm saying a lot of is turn it, sand it, colour it, seal it, finish it. And a few people asked if there could be a t-shirt of it, so I designed one, put it together, and it's available from my website if anybody's interested. This is a t-shirt. It has been modelled by me. It's a fantastic quality. It's a really heavy duty cotton, and this particular model has got the back print as well, and there's mugs and a few other bits and pieces. You guys asked for it, so I sorted it out for you. Oh, I can't keep up with the comments. 210 people now. Wow, fantastic. I better make this worthwhile. Pat Harris might be the 200th viewer. Cool. Yeah, a lot of this demonstration, or at least, quite a lot of this demonstration is going to be talking, because I need to brain dump on you, basically. And I know I shouldn't be drinking coffee at this time of night. He said at 7:20 in the evening. Joseph, you only wear polo shirts. Don't worry, there are mugs as well, if you're interested, of course. But I'm not here selling t-shirts, I'm here to do a demonstration. Anthony, thank you very much. Hi David. Marky in the US, it was really nice to meet you on Saturday afternoon, Marky. Via Zoom, of course. Oh, Marky, in the US, you're not charged VAT. There's no VAT added to products that ship outside of the UK. Dewey, I did see an email come in from you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm currently 250 emails down at the minute in my inbox. Oh, get that piano out of my head. Maybe I ought to have that little bit of piano playing in the background whilst I go through this brain dump. Hi Regina. Oh. Phyllis in Florida. Hi Phyllis, nice to see you. Adrian, do you have a creature climbing up your right collar? Oh, what, this? I don't know if you can see that very well. No. This is that's my microphone. It's got a little dead cat on it. Well, it's called a dead cat. It's just a wind. It's just a wind thing, and it just takes a little bit of the air out of the way, you know, that kind of thing. Entrepreneur, Fairbanks, Alaska. Fantastic. Wow. I would love to visit Alaska. I really, really would. In fact, I would love to visit anywhere right now. I'd like to, I'd like to visit the local park. Dewey, am I doing another video chat? Dewey, it depends what time we finish. If we're finished by about 9 o'clock, I might swing on over to Zoom. I don't know yet. We'll see. James Cassidy, hello. So before we get started, does anybody have any questions? Seeing as you're all here nice and early before the demonstration starts, has anybody got any questions for me at all that I might be able to answer for you? Boop, boop, boo. Want to visit Dagenham, says Leisure. Never been to Dagenham. I've driven past it a couple of times. Brian McLaughlin in Scotland. Hi, Brian. You know, I'm sat here and I'm still going through how I'm going to do this how I'm going to do this demonstration for you. Manchester's good. Northern Ireland's quite good. Oh, Brian Ousby. Hiya, Brian. James at Wessex Technical. How much are the t-shirts? Without the back print, James, they are $19.99, I think, or it might be around 20. I can't remember. Alan Waterworth in St Helens. Paul Kavanagh, how often do you cut back the lacquer in the glass finish? Every 2 coats, Paul. I very lightly sand it back with 400 grit, something like that. Every 2 coats when they are just past touch dry, so sort of every hour kind of thing. Chris, what does the width of the t-shirt mean on your site? Chris Sullivan, I think that'll be chest. To give you an idea, I'm wearing a large. Jim, do you have a good design for a golden mean divider? Jim, no, I don't. And in fact, that's a very good. Colin Mackenzie, thank you very much indeed, sir. Yeah, Colin, you're an absolute star. Thank you. No, I don't have a good design for a golden mean divider. I did have a set of golden mean dividers, but they were cheap and plastic and broke. I need to invest in a metal set, really. Pat Harris, if I lacquer over Danish oil on a vase and apply your Hampshire Sheen high gloss, will it protect against water splash spots? Yeah, hi Pat. I wouldn't worry about putting gloss over the top of a lacquer, to be fair. If anything, I would put a very light coat of microcrystalline wax over the top, just to give it a nice silky feel, because lacquer by itself, or my lacquers, are waterproof. And make sure the oil is completely dry, and then you put sealer over the top of the oil. Frederick Rogan Nersgaard. Coming to Denmark. Actually, I will be talking to Renee Norman later in the year about a trip over to Denmark, and I'm really keen to get over there. Glenn Crandall, thank you very much indeed. Nice to see you again. Oh, the looks like the internet connection is a little bit wobbly at the moment. It will settle itself down, but I will just send a quick message to my... Oh, it seems to have sorted itself out again. Excuse me a minute. Right, okay. We've got 3 minutes before we get started. Let me just find the mouse. There it is. Right. Okay, we've got a few minutes before we need to get started. So what I'll do is what I normally do. We're just going to have a very quick break, 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll be back, and then we will get started. Oh, Glenn Crandall, trip to the US. I am very seriously looking at the AAW symposium in Omaha, Nebraska next year. So fingers crossed I'll be able to make it over to Omaha next year. But yep, we'll have a couple of minutes break and then we'll get started, and I'll do my best to put this demonstration in some kind of order. All the buttons are in an order, but it just anyway, see you in a minute. Right then, I'm back, and I am still figuring out in my head how this is going to work. So I think what we'll do is we'll just jump straight in. Normal housekeeping things, if you don't mind, please, folks. I will stop at regular intervals throughout the demonstration to take questions, and I will ask for them specifically. So please hold on to your questions until I ask for them. And yeah, obviously feel free to chat amongst yourselves. I can see the comments as they come up here too. The internet connection wobbled a little bit just before we had that short break, but it is stable again now and pumping out nicely. So hopefully you'll be able to see and hear everything in beautiful Technicolor HD this evening. Right. So welcome everybody to this demonstration that I am calling A Thinking Turner's Turn. So this is actually going to be quite a lot of talking to get started with, just to explain exactly what goes through my head, or what has gone through my head when looking for shapes and stuff that I might like when turning a bowl. Oh, excuse me. Oh, and Phil Bolter is here acting as your administrator this evening. Phil's been part of the team, certainly on YouTube, since virtually the beginning of lockdown. But he also works for me 2 at Hampshire Sheen. Rob CP and Anthony Southwell, thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. Right, so when we get a bowl, hang on a minute, let me just grab a blank, that would help. Where did I put them? Over there. When we get a bowl blank, we essentially get like a shrunk down cylinder like this. From one side it looks rectangular, and then obviously it's round because it's a bowl blank. And every bowl, I treat every bowl differently, and I always try and find the most fluid curve possible for the sides of the bowl. Like that one, for example. It's got a nice flowing curve. But I keep thinking to myself, and I keep wondering about such things as catenary curves, you know, that kind of thing. And in order to get this demonstration started, I want you to have a look at something. There. Here are 4 bowl profiles. So just in the comments, just type which one you prefer. Which profile do you prefer? A, B, C, or D? So just in the comments there, just type which one you prefer the look of. And they're all to scale. They're all, apart from D, they're a slightly D is a slightly different height. But just out of those 3, which one do you prefer? Well, I'm sorry, out of those 4, A, B, C, or D, which one do you prefer? I know which one I prefer. D, C, D, B. Okay, C's looking popular. C and D. A. Oh, A, that's interesting. Sorry, let's stand over here so I'm not in the way. C, D, D, D. Lots of D's, lots of C's. So it looks like C and D are the most popular. Now that's really interesting. Oh, there's another A. Oh wait, no, B. C, D, 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 D. Okay, it's a bit of a mixture, but C and D definitely look like the 2 most favourite, and that's really interesting. Sorry, because I know what I'm planning on that's coming up next. Thomas Kroll, very funny. F. Very good. I like D because it's deep. Okay. Don't worry about what it's for, Adrian. Just the basic profile. Mother says A. Oh, Philip Pattinson's mum Teresa's watching. Hi, Teresa. Big leaf turning. Is there a preferred slope for a salad bowl? No. Robert Hibbert says C. You like B, don't you, Martin? Right. Oh, right. Okay. Cool. That's really interesting. Because they are all different. Some of them very slightly. B and C are very similar in profile, and it's really interesting that some of you said B, but many more people said D. They are actually the same profile. Really interesting. Right. Okay. Now let's just take a look at each of these. A is formed from a catenary curve. B here is an arc from a circle. C is slightly different. C is actually my favourite, which is part of the profile from the golden ratio, which I will explain all of this as we go. And then D is different, as I said, from the others, but that is a circle too. Right, now if we just take bowl A to start with, bowl A is a catenary curve. Now, for those of you who don't know what a catenary curve is, Here we go. Catenary curves. I think they're... Oh! That's... I have frozen. Right, the video's just frozen, folks. I'm not sure if you can still hear me. Oh, I think you might have just heard that. Can anybody... I wonder how I can get this started again. No, I have frozen. Right. I think we're back. I think we're back. I'm just going to wait and see. And I've lost all the colour balances and everything else like that. Right, anyway. Right, apologies for that, folks. I will look into the reasons why and get that sorted for next time. Right, where were we? Yes, catenary curves. In mathematics, a catenary curve describes the shape of a flexible hanging chain, like this one here. The name derives from catenaria, meaning chain, and any freely hanging chain, a cable or string assumes this shape. There we are, there's one. Oh, where's it gone? There it is. No, demos, that one. Okay, turn that one on. There we go. Kind of thrown myself now. Now here is a hanging chain. And as you can see, if I just play with this a little bit, you can see that I can get the shape that is illustrated in the bowl. Now, I like catenary curves. They're nice. They're completely natural. But look, it just keeps going out and out and out and out and out. It doesn't ever seem to kind of close. So this is really, really open. I hope this is making sense to you. So that shape there, which was bowl A, is a catenary curve that just keeps going out and out and out. Bowl B, there we are, bowl B is part of a circle. And here we are, here is a circle. Trust me, it does go all the way to the top, out the top of the screen. And that bowl is an arc from a circle. Again, it's a really nice elegant curve, and in your mind's eye, when you look at a piece like that, your mind just tends to follow it round to see where it joins up together, whereas a catenary curve, it just disappears off into space ad infinitum. The circle, the circular bowl, obviously comes back round and closes in on itself. Everybody knows what a circle is. Now I'm going to skip C for a minute, because it's actually bowl C that I'm using some rules for here. Now bowl D is also a circle. Oh, I can hear a cuckoo outside. That's nice. Right, here is another circle, and this particular bowl very, very strictly uses the rule of thirds, and I'll talk about the rule of thirds in just a minute. So this is again a bowl that will eventually close up if you follow its curves all the way round up to the top. There we are. That's quite nice. And the rule of thirds, if we, I'm sure some of you are aware of what the rule of thirds is. The rule of thirds, I studied photography when I was working as a photographer and graphic design, and the rule of thirds, as it says here, is a guideline which applies to the process of composing visual images such as designs, films, paintings and photographs, and wood turning. And the guideline proposes that an image or a piece should be imagined as divided into 9 equal parts, or essentially split into 3 horizontally and vertically, with equally spaced horizontal and vertical lines, and that important compositional elements should be placed along these lines or intersections. As woodturners, we can forget about the last bit, but the rule of thirds, it works. You see it every day on the TV and in movies and paintings and all sorts of places like that. Anywhere where there is some kind of design element that people have had to input, more often than not you will find they are using something to do with the rule of thirds or the next bowl. So remember, we've gone A, B, D, and now we're going to go back to bowl C. Bowl C here is a little bit special because it's not absolutely true, as it were. Bowl C has got a curve on it from the golden ratio. And you've probably seen this spiral and stuff. It appears on shells and in the, I'm pointing at the screen as if you can see what I'm pointing at on your screens. So the golden ratio, or the golden mean, or the divine proportion, or something like that, features in nature, in shells and in the sunflower heads, but architects and artists have also taken that. The Mona Lisa, for example, that uses both the rule of thirds and also the golden ratio. The Parthenon in Greece, that uses it mostly, it almost fits perfectly, and the Taj Mahal in India too. They all feature the golden ratio, as does my favourite bowl, which is bowl C. But because this particular curve isn't uniform, it is ever decreasing or ever increasing depending upon which way round the spiral you go, I've taken part of it. I've taken just a part of it and then mirrored that onto the other side of the bowl as if we were going to turn it on the lathe, which is what we are going to do a little bit later. So let's have a look at the golden ratio. Well, yes, let's have a look at the golden ratio. There it is. I've mentioned it a few times in various demonstrations and also videos, and shows and places like that about how important it is. And the most important number is 1.618. I recommend you disappear off after the demonstration and research it a little bit or a lot. It is absolutely fascinating what you can find out about the golden ratio and where it appears just everywhere. It is an incredible number. So all of the bowls apart from D have been worked out, the proportions have been worked out around the number 1.618. If we go back to the bowls for a second, there we are. So A, B and C, they are all exactly the same size. I've worked them out, I'll show you in a minute, but the foot is a factor of 1.618 on both of the bowls, as is the height, and the diameter of the foot is actually the same as the height of the bowl. Is everybody following this? Let's stop for some questions first. Wobbly internet again. Apologies. Hopefully it will sort itself out. So does anybody have any questions? The internet is a little bit wonky at the moment. The guy is looking at it. So does anybody have any questions I might be able to answer for you before we carry on? That might have come across a little bit disjointed. It certainly did in my head. So if you've got any questions, please ask now. Colin, I won't be mentioning Fibonacci. I haven't researched the Fibonacci side of things too much. I've just been researching the ratio. Chris Salmons, I just mentioned that, but the internet was a bit wonky, so you may have missed it. The width of the bowl and the foot, or rather the foot, is a factor of 1.618. But I'll go through the calculations with you in a minute. The foot diameter is the same as the height, yes. Gentle turn, there are a couple of ways you can construct the curve. You can either cut a template from a diagram, or do it by eye, which is what I'm going to do. Is the golden ratio still good on deep bowls? That's a really interesting question there, Pete at Twisted Trees. If we go back here, you can see here how the curve comes up and round. So it could be very good on deep bowls, especially as they come round and start to close on each other. Wayne, I know it's the same thing, but it's Fibonacci looks at things differently, and now's not the time to be going into the Fibonacci sequence. I know what it is, but tonight is not the night to go into it. Right, okay. Does anybody else have any other questions before we move on? Yes, Mark Wallington, I will go into the factors in just a minute. Anybody else have any other questions at all? Die-prout or die-prout, do you actually measure or just eyeball it? I'm going to eyeball it using a little diagram like that. And it actually looks like there's a little bit of a delay on the audio, which is a little bit frustrating. What extractor do you use? David, I'll talk about that later, if that's all right. We'll just keep the questions about the demonstration for the time being. Gentle turn, I'm not looking at French curves for this. There are lots of curves out there, but for this particular demonstration I'm only looking at those three. Right, if nobody's got any other questions, I will carry on and we'll look at the curves here as a diagram. So if you can see there, we've got a circle, the catenary curve, the black representation of the golden ratio, and the sort of the pinky purple circle. So I was saying, and you can also see there bowls A, B and C just overlaid on top of each other there. So you can see how similar those curves are. But then forget that. Right, there we go. Remember, I haven't done this demonstration before, so I am kind of working it out as we go along. Right, so there are the three bowls, A, B and C, and as I was saying, the width of the bowl and the foot and the height are all worked out through factors of 1.618. So in the little equation you can see down there, D equals the diameter, H equals the height, and F equals foot, obviously, and then phi, which is that funny little symbol, equals 1.618. And I've done this I've worked this out in millimeters and English, so everybody should be able to follow this, and where necessary I have rounded up a little bit, so just be patient on that, because it's very difficult to get fractions of a millimeter when turning. So if we take the diameter of the bowl, which this blank isn't the right diameter at the moment, we will have to turn it down. If we take 254 millimeters, I will do this on the calculator because I'm rubbish at mental arithmetic. In fact, I'm not a mathematician. I didn't even study maths. I just learn as I go. So 254 millimeters, if we divide that by 1.618, we get 156.9. And if we divide that by 1.618, we get 97. And then if we go down again, 1.618, that'll give us 59.96 millimeters. Call it 60. And then the same workings out work for the height of the bowl too. So that's worked out exactly to specific rules, specifically the ratio. So anybody who said A, B, and C, you're following the rules. Now remember, one thing I do need to make absolutely clear is I am not trying to tell you that this is how you must do it. I just want you to think a little bit about the shapes and the curves and stuff that you make your bowls out of, or the curves that you put on there. These curves all appear in nature, and one thing I did forget to mention is there. If you look at the curve coming round, the curve itself finishes at the very bottom of the foot there. So it doesn't finish above the foot. The actual curve goes down and finishes right at the bottom of the foot. Now I think that's quite important, because just as when you look at the bowl and you see, let's use the circle one. So just as you look at the piece and you see the circle going round, that circle perhaps should end right on the floor or right on the surface. So when you look at it sort of horizontally along the table, for example, that circle just rests on top of the table, for example, or the sideboard, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? I feel like the Metro Goldwyn Mayer lion sat in this circle. Right, let's turn that off. So, as I was saying before, this is the bowl that we're going to turn, which is the golden ratio bowl, and the same thing there. It's ever so slightly misaligned there, but because the curve on the golden ratio spiral isn't continuous, it's not possible to get it exactly the same on both sides of your piece. So what I did was I took one part, well, you can see it there, I took one half of the bowl from one part of the curve and then mirrored it over onto the other side, which makes a rather nice, pleasing sort of shape. And if you don't like going down 3 factors of 1.618, you could perhaps go down 2 or 4. You'll have a little bit of trouble with the with your foot size on 4, but you could go down 3 if you wanted to. Now, if you multiply 1.618 by 2, you get 3.2 blah 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 something or other, which is roughly a third, isn't it? So if we bring back up, come in, put that one up as well. No, it's not that one. It's that one. No, you can't see it very well. I need to think of something else. Oh, let's look at this one. Right. If you have a look between C and D on the diagram over here, D follows the rule of thirds exactly, and C follows the golden ratio exactly. And you can see the difference between the foot size of D and C. D is a little bit bigger because a third is bigger than 3.2. And I like D, but I prefer C. Even though it's got a slightly smaller foot, I am preferring C to D. So as I said, we will turn, or we'll have a go at turning bowl C by eye. Now if you're interested, up on screen now are all of the lines that I produced in Adobe Illustrator to put this demonstration together for you. In fact, I've deleted a few. So it's been a real nightmare trying to figure this out and try and present it as easily as possible without confusing you, or certainly without confusing me. So we'll go with C, and we will just stop there again, just in case anybody has any questions. So does anybody have any questions whilst I get my head in gear? Right, just while that's going on, I'm just going to slightly rearrange these cameras, because when the stream died, everything went wrong. All the cameras reset. That'll do. And let's turn that. I'll just grab the focus thing. Birch leaf turning. Is the design C more acceptable due to its prevalence in nature, or is that a factor at all? Birch leaf, no, I don't believe it is. It's preferable to me personally, because I like the look of it. I like the look of bowl C over bowl or over any of the others, because I don't know. It's thank you, Legia. It's really difficult to decide. I definitely don't like A, because my eyes are just drawn outwards permanently. There's nothing to bring my eye back round, essentially. B, the circle goes all the way round, so in my mind's eye and subconsciously with the circle there, look, with the circle bowl, my mind's eye sees that line closing again at the top. And then C, the golden ratio, if you were to switch, if you were to duplicate half of that spiral, so this bit here, and flip it over to the other side, that bowl will then just turn round and do that on itself if you follow the line. Does that make sense? So I think that's why I prefer bowl C to B or D, because although B and D close, C just keeps going and going and going and going and going into ever decreasing spirals. I think that's why I like it more than B or D. Yes, Stephen Rickett, can you explain the multiplication of 1.6183 times? Yeah, it's not multiplication. Well, you can multiply it up, but I would imagine it will be easier to go down, so you're dividing. And the way I did it, let's put it on here. The way I did it was, how big is it? 254. So the way I did it was 254, divide that by 1.618, divide that by 1.618, and divide that by 1.618, and that leaves us with 59.96, which call it 60 millimeters. So that's the way that I do it. You can do it another way, but the answer oddly is different. And as I said, I'm no mathematician, so I can't answer that for you, but that's the way that I do it. Paul Straker, my brain is scrambled too, so I'm going to get on and turn something. Robert Dreschel Bude. Do you generally take C, or do you do it depending on the wood? I turn a curve that I like, and I turn a curve that is always fluid and flowing and elegant, which most of the time, let's just see that. Let's try and get this into some kind of, I can't get it. I ought to get clear. Oh, I can't get it. Anyway, you get the idea. I like curves that flow. In fact, that one's a little bit fat just down here. But curves that flow always work better for me. I'm not keen on angular bowls particularly. So all of the curves need to flow and be elegant. Dana Wrigley, the right hand side of the curve is a circle arc. It can't be part of a circle, because it's always getting bigger on the right hand side, as you saw it there. It's always getting bigger, so it can't be. It can feature in a little bit, but it can't actually go all the way round to be a circle. Gentle turn, 60 millimeters on what? On your blank gentle turn. I'm going to take you through it now, or in a minute. Right, okay. My brain is scrambled as well. Now, none of these rules or none of these things I am saying are right, and I'm not saying that any of them are wrong. These are just things for you to think about when turning your bowls. Obviously, you can turn them however you want. The aim of this is to just, I don't know, just show you what I go through when I'm turning stuff, and how I've gone from being just knocking something out to actually considering the shape of the curves that I want to put on the pieces given the blank that I've got. And I certainly don't ever, or rather I very, very rarely turn anything specifically to these rules or numbers, and I do generally turn by eye, but the stuff that I have turned by eye all fit somewhere around the rule of thirds, which was this one. Hello. They all fit somewhere within the rule of thirds, or somewhere around the golden ratio, just somewhere, just kind of loosely, and that's something that I kind of do naturally. It's kind of a bit, it's almost instinctive how I've done that. James, Martin, out of interest, do you allow your graphic design side to take over when turning pieces, or try to kick it out? I think, James, because of the rules, the rules of aesthetics are everywhere. You see them in nature everywhere. You see them in, well, obviously graphic design and architecture and filmmaking, TV program making. You can't really say that they're wrong, can you, James? You can't say that any one of these pictures or shapes is wrong, because most of them appear naturally and the others are just sort of derivatives of that nature. So what has Steve spotted? I don't know. You guys talking amongst yourselves, I can't keep up with the conversation. Right. Oh, I've got no idea what you're talking about. Somebody's spotted something somewhere. Right, so what we'll do is I'll put that graphic up on the screen there, and then when we go to the overhead camera like that, you'll be able to see how close I'm getting. Oh! Yeah, thanks, Leisure. Yeah, I've just spotted it myself. That's hilarious. Sorry. Right, I'm going to sharpen a bowl gouge now, and we'll see if we can turn. A bowl that's roughly, or as close to that shape, bowl C, as possible. And I see there's plenty of chatter going on. Ivor Longwalk, do you think the bowl would look pig ugly if you don't follow the rule of thirds or golden sections? No, I don't think it would look pig ugly either. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say it's probably not going to be as aesthetically pleasing as the 4 bowls that we've put up here. And I think if you do turn something that doesn't suggest the rules but it looks good, I would bet you a tenner that somewhere in there is one of these factors or these equations in there somewhere. I'll put a tenner on that. Yeah, I'll put a tenner on that. Yeah, Rob CP says rules are for breaking. Yeah, I was going to come on to that later. Yeah, although these are rules that are in nature and graphic design and blah 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 blah, if you can break them successfully, then do so. But you do need to understand the rules in order to break them first. Yes, Colin Watson, go and measure them. Go and measure them and see. Right. Okay. I'm gonna start to do a little bit of talking now. Andy Harris, that's a good question. Do you think most of us follow the rules but don't know it? Andy, yes, I do. I genuinely believe that even though you may not be aware of these rules, you are following them instinctively because they look nice. And the most beautiful things in the world can all be mathematically proven along one of these rules. There you go, stick my neck on the line again. There you go, I'll stick my neck on the line. If you don't know the rules but you are turning beautiful stuff, then the chances are you are just getting them instinctively. Right, let's get turning, shall we, because I'm talking far too much. Let's put this back on and then we'll go back to the overhead. Right, safety glasses on, and in fact because I'm roughing this down I'm going to use a face shield as well. Lathe is switched on. This piece is on a faceplate, a chuck mounted faceplate. I've got my face shield on, as you can see, and I've got a nicely sharpened bowl gouge, and the tool rest is at a height that when I present the tool is cutting on or just about the centre line. And I've just brought the tailstock up for a little bit of additional support as well. Now, first thing I need to do, or first thing I should have done, is measure the blank, because I don't want to turn it down too small straight off the bat. So what we want is 254. So I've got about 7 millimeters left to take off. I'm going to stop there and check it again. Three more to go. Bang on. Good. I'm happy with that. Now, I'm not going to worry about the height of the bowl just yet. That needs 6 millimeters taken off the top. Sorry, taken off the top when we get round to it. But for now, I'm going to face off the bottom of the bowl. Just turn that off a minute. Okay, so same as before, tool rest is nice and close to the work, and the rest is at a height that when the tool's presented, it's cutting right along the centre line. There we go. That'll do. Now, one thing I do need to just double check, because I'm working at fairly tight tolerances here. Just need to just double check how wide that is, because I still need to put on a 60 millimeter foot. So that's 52. Right, okay. I'll put a recess in the bottom of here. Oop. Should I put a recess on? No, I'll do a 10. Oop. Remember, I'm using a Nova chuck, which does up backwards. Yeah. Oh, sorry folks, I've just forgotten my numbers. Right, 50 mil, right, okay, good. So I'm going to go with a tenon. I do apologise. And get the speed sizer. To be I think that, yep, there we go. Oh, and while we're at it, so that's a 50 millimeter tenon, just do that. Move that out of the way. So anybody would think I haven't turned for ages and ages and ages, but I've just got to make sure that I'm getting this right. Otherwise I'm going to make a right idiot of myself. Okay, right, so I'm just going to work down the tenon. This is a pretty shoddy bit of wood. Okay, and then I'm going to put the tenon on with a square. Oh, it's not square, is it? It's a round skew, 10mm round skew. That should do. Now the foot, now if that's 50mm, the foot needs to have a 30mm radius, which is going to be here. So I've got just enough. If I turn that round there, I think you might be able to see that mark. Only just. So I've only got just enough for the jaws to sit on, and that's going to give me my 60mm foot. And now I can start to turn the rest of the bowl. Put the graphic back up there. Right. Let's just take the rest of this off here a minute, and we'll see how much height we've got left. And it should be roughly 60mm. Look at that. Don't think you can see that. That's absolutely bang on 60mm. Perfect. And now I can start to turn that round. Start to turn the shape. Now this is going to get a little bit tricky, because as I've said to you before, I normally turn by eye, but this is going to be a little bit tricky. If I just raise the camera up a little bit and try and get it come on, that's roughly to scale, that, isn't it? Give or take a little bit. So I'm just going to hack this out to start with, just to get the basic shape. If anybody's interested, the lathe is at 800 RPM. let's look at the foot. Forgive me for not talking about the technique that I'm using. There isn't enough time to discuss the technique I'm using too much this evening. It's just the same technique I normally use. Now I can already see I'm not happy with the size of that foot. I actually want that foot a little bit bigger. Keep chatting amongst yourselves while I finish this off. It shouldn't take too long. So the curve's got to finish right at the very top of the bowl here. It's almost there. Sharpen the gouge again. Moving the keyboard out of the way. Nearly there. A little bit of a lump just here. Let's just lose that and blend that into the rest of it. A little bit flat just in there, do you think? Knackered it. It's not too far off. Right. Certainly looks like you guys are having a good old chat about what's going on. So I'm going to take this off the lathe and then I'll just hold it up somewhere. Put that up there and see if I can align this somehow. Oh, it's so difficult working backwards. Let me just try it that way. There. Can't find it. This is really difficult. Oh, hello. Let's try and figure this out again. That might help. Sorry, waving the camera around and stuff. It's very. I'm working in a mirror here. Right, there's. There we are. That's not too bad, is it? It's a little bit. It's a little bit chubby, about halfway up. So I'll just. There we are. Yeah, it's a little bit chubby about halfway up, so I'll just slim that down a little bit. So it's a little bit chubby about here. Let's put some glasses on. Oh yeah, I can see where that's gone a bit. And then take that off again. Go back over there. Can't find where I was. That way? Ah. I think that's pretty spot on, don't you? I think we'll have that. Was that good enough? It's pretty. Oh, I could do it like that as well. Nah, forget it. Right, are we happy with that? Does that work? And it is quite a nice shape. Although, is the foot too small? I think the foot might be a little bit too small. Let's just whip the faceplate off. That is a super fine tenon there. Right, let's stop there. Does anybody have any questions at all? There's a little bit of movement in it. Ah, excellent. There are some thumbs up there. Some people have found some emojis. Let's turn that off. Oh, Colin French. Colin normally works on the rule of thirds from the foot with golden ratio for the curve. Nothing wrong with that, Colin. There's nothing wrong with mixing and matching any of these rules. If it works, use it. Rubber dub wood. Would you use the golden ratio in spindle turning, for example, when designing a silhouette shape for a lamp spindle? Absolutely, rubber dub wood. I think over here I've got a copy of Mark Sanger's book. No, I don't. It must be at home. Mark Sanger Mark Sanger did an absolutely superb book on turning hollow forms, and he goes into using the rule of thirds on essentially spindles and stuff. So yes, absolutely. Anything that you can make or anything that you can do, these rules can be applied to somewhere, somehow. Martin, can you show how you fix the faceplate to the blank? Yeah. There's that one. There we go. There's the faceplate there, Clive. This is a chuck mounted faceplate, so the jaws sit inside that little ring there and open up in expansion, and then it's just screwed onto the surface. It's that simple. JJ, at the moment I consider myself to have done well to hold the bowl gouge the right way up, but this is definitely food for thought. JJ, everybody's got to start somewhere, JJ, so don't worry about it. It's just, as you say, it's a little bit food for thought. There's a saying in many houses, every day's a school day. So just because this might be a little bit advanced for you now, don't worry about it. Every day's a school day. Just keep on learning. Dave Sullivan, just got in. Hope I haven't missed too much. Dave, yeah, you kind of missed the entire theory part. I won't go into it all again now, but basically this is what we're doing, Dave Sullivan, and we're actually turning a bowl like that, in that shape, which fits very nicely within the golden ratio. Martin, how do you determine the height of the bowl using the golden mean? Martin, divide the height, divide the diameter, the width, by 1.618 once, twice, 3 times, or 4, or however many, and then you get the height. Dewey, I can't put a link to that book, I'm afraid. I'm a bit busy at the minute, but I think it's on Amazon. But just do an Amazon or a Google search for Mark Sanger turning hollow forms, and that'll be that'll give you the link to the book. It's absolutely superb. Oh, Colin Watson, you can go to Mark Sanger's website. Cool. Mick Fagan, what depth do you make your tenon? This one, Mick, is about 7mm. Oh no. Let's lose that one. And that one. Right, I think I might be back. Am I back? The camera just froze up for a minute there. Can somebody just give me a little, just let me know if I'm back streaming again? The sci-fi guy, yes, it is a Fibonacci curve, or a golden ratio curve, or golden mean, whatever you want to call it. I didn't mention Fibonacci at the beginning because there's so much else going on. Although Fibonacci is a very important character, or a very important person, he's not really pertinent just at the minute. Right, I'm back. Jolly good. Right, let's turn the inside of this this piece now. I've got a feeling the two new cameras are not compatible entirely with Windows 10. I will need to experiment with them a little bit more. So apologies for that, folks. Right, I'm just going to take the live center out the back. Okay, just a tiny little bit off the top. There we go, and now we can start cutting the inside of the bowl out when I get it to the right height. Stuart, yeah, the Fibonacci numbers are very, very, very interesting, and as you say, they're not particularly relevant just at the moment, but as I said at the beginning, I would highly recommend everybody to research all of these things. Perhaps not circles, because everybody knows what circles are. Oh, sorry, you're just looking at the top of my head. Sorry. There we are, let's start here. Shall I zoom that camera in a little bit for you? Right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to apologise for this. Minor technical hitches. I'm just going to plug that back in there. Now the stream's going to drop for a second just while I reboot OBS, and then I'll be back again any second now, so please don't go away. Right, there we go, back again. Right, okay. Hopefully the oh, wrong one. Where's that? Is it that one? Yeah. Yeah, hopefully this will sort itself out. So the new cameras only arrived today, and I had no time at all to sort them out. So let's turn that off and get it into focus. That'll do. Right, okay, apologies everybody. Okay, here we go. Now one thing that we could do, which I haven't actually mentioned, one thing that I haven't actually mentioned yet, is that we could also work out the thickness of the walls using using this. So we're at 254 millimeters. So let's do that, shall we? Let's work out our wall thickness doing the same thing. Right, so 254. Let's do this. 254 divided by 1.618 divided by 1.618 divided by 1.618. That gives us our 60 millimeters, which is the foot and the height. And if we divide that by 1.618, that gives us 37 millimeters. Let me just mark that. Find a pencil. Oh, I've overshot that. I'm at 30 millimeters already. So let's go down another one. Divide that by, sorry, let's show you, 1.618. Is that going to focus? That gives us 22.9, so let's call it 23. It's not OBS that's causing the problem, it's the two new cameras. What did I say that number was? 23. 21, 22, 23. Right, so there's the wall thickness. Let's zoom that camera in. Just zooming the camera in, turn the autofocus off. Okay. Right, there we go. What do we think of the wall thickness there? 22? Oh, sorry, 23, or should we go down another one? Alright, should we go down another one? Divide that by 1.618. That gives us 14 millimeters, 14.1. Should we try 14 mil rather than 23? Should we try that? Yeah, why not? Just there. Right, so the outside line here is what we're going to do for the walls. Turning bowls with thin walls is different to turning bowls normally, because normally the way I turn bowls is from essentially the inside outwards, but with thinner walled bowls you start from the outside and work your way in, working down a few millimeters at a time. Out of interest, the lathe is at 834 RPM. feels good. Get the tool rest in a little bit closer. I'll go down a little bit deeper as well. Just have a feel of that. A little bit deeper. Starts to shallow out a little bit about here, so I need to go deeper from about there. So I'll pick up the cut. About there. It's not bad. That'll do. I haven't done any finishing or anything like that tonight because I don't think there's time, to be fair. But there is the inside of our bowl. Looks pretty plain and boring, doesn't it? Am I going to finish it? I think I might be able to get... Shall I finish it, or shall I at least sand it? Let me know. Leave a comment. Do you want me to sand this sort of inside and out, and I'll do that quickly. Jim Strumman, no, this video's not going to be available, I'm afraid. This one is a practice for one that's going to be going into my normal club demo portfolio, and obviously I don't want it left available. So no, this is it. Either long walk. Oh, hang on. Design and make. Martin, do I divide the bowl diameter to get the wall thickness? Yes. Yes. Just go down again in factors of 1.618. Design and make. Martin, when you colour bowls and platters, is it worth considering the thirds rule at all? No, I don't think it is either, to be fair, because unless you're actually doing a picture, I don't think that there's any point. I thank you everybody for asking me to colour it. I don't have time to colour it tonight, but I will sand it down. Excuse me one sec. Sorry, a bit of a cough. Rene Norman, is that bowl gouge 55 degree? Yes, it is, Rene. My favourite grind is 55 degrees. Sorry, John PBH. I will do this one live again, but over in Zoom, I think, with fewer people. Design and make, haven't got time to do lacquer. Stephen Rickett, the key to the message is divide everything by 1.618. Yes, Stephen Rickett, yeah, you're right. So thank you for watching, everybody. Bye for now. Only teasing. Adrian, if you've seen the Cosmic Cloud Platter Gary Lowe, will the golden ratio help with the ring diameters for that? Probably, Adrian, I would think it will, but I'm not sure which one of Gary's cosmic clouds you're referring to there. But try it. You know, mark if you've got something that you think you might be able to use one of these rules on, then give it a go and see. Just mark it out and see how it might look. Ian B, thank you very much. Gentle Turn, where is your bowl gouge from? Gentle Turn, I think your name's Martin, isn't it? We've been chatting a little bit. Anyway, I think it might be. Yeah, so Gentle Turn, this bowl gouge is a Robert Sorby Excelsior gouge. Thank you very much indeed, you're very welcome. Rid Terry, any to follow truth peace. Oh, thank you very much, you're very welcome. Roland Price, do you enjoy sanding? Roland, I love sanding. I really love it. Right, let's sand this down. I just need to bring that in, put my mask on. I will whiz through this fairly quickly. Eileen Collins, the bowl is 254 millimetres across, which is 10 inches roughly. Costas, what is the code to sharpen the bowl gouge with the Tormek? Costas, I don't use a Tormek, so I wouldn't know, I'm afraid. James, what music do you listen to? I don't listen to any music at all, James. Gentle Turn is the insert from Sorby 2. Yes, it's... Oh, let's get that down there for a minute. Yeah, Gentle Turn it is. Regina, thank you very much indeed. Gentle Turn, it is a Robert Sorby Excelsior gouge in a Robert Sorby Sovereign handle. John Minorich, thank you very much indeed to you too. You're an absolute star. And you too, Regina, I hope you're well. Twisted Tree says he gets catches with 50 degrees and less with 55. That's interesting. Let me just see if I've got any messages about the internet stream, which I don't have. Right, let me get this sanded down, and we'll go on. We'll go on from there. Thank you, Paul Stavekens. Okay, right. Oh. There we go, this is what we're going to do with the sanding. I'll just whiz through this quite quickly. Richard Klingman, thank you, and Eileen Collins, thank you to you too. Now I don't normally sand a back like in this orientation, but I wasn't actually planning on sanding at all, so slow the lathe down a little bit. Twisted Trees, thank you very much. You divided it by 1.618, you're a star, thank you. Okay, I'm just going to check for any tear out. Oh, loads there. I'm not going to spend ages on this. It's good enough. Right, whiz down to 180. If anybody's interested in what sander I'm using that one. This is an inertia sander from Simon Hope. If you head over to Simon's website, he's got them there. There's two. Design and Make, thank you very much, you're very welcome. Yeah, Simon Hope, if you go onto his website at hopewoodturning.co.uk, you'll be able to find these there. It's called the Pro Sander. Stuart in Guernsey, you may want to hang around for the end of this because I will get it onto the coal jaws and cut the tenon off for you. Let's whiz through this at the bottom. Silk, thank you very much. And we'll get down to 240. Put a little chamfer on the edge. Silk, thank you. Thank you for the maths lesson. It's not quite a maths lesson. Maybe it is. I was never any good at maths. I scraped through with a C on my GCSE maths. If anybody's interested, I am currently on 240 grit. Okay, that's 240 done, and now I'll just go down to 400. What time is it? 9:05. So this is 400 just to finish off. Little bit on the back. Little bit on the chamfer, whoops. Just blow that off with the Okay, David Bamford, Barry Oak, Adam J, thank you very much. You're all stars, thank you. I'm not sure if I missed anybody there with a super chat, but thank you very much indeed. I'm glad it's got some people thinking. Remember, what I'm doing here, what I hope I'm not doing here, is preaching that this is how you must do it. These are rules and patterns and sequences that appear in nature, and we're able to use them in our turning. So please don't think I'm dictating that this is how you should do it. As I say, when I get criticised for colouring wood, my standard response is, it's my wood and I'll do what I like with it. So with these rules and stuff, it's your wood, do what you like with it. Thanks, James at Wessex Technical. Right, let's get the coal jaws down now. Okay, coal jaws. Let's turn that off. There we go. There we go. Right, hopefully the camera isn't going to crash the system again. Right, so coal jaws. These are a really good method of. Oh, I could do that. Sorry. Thinking two things at once. These are a really good way of reverse mounting a piece in order to remove the tenon or decorate the bottom after a piece has been turned. They can be a little bit sketchy to use because obviously the only thing holding them in place is these little rubber buttons going around the outside, so they can be a little bit sketchy to use at times. So you've just got to be careful, not spin it too tight. Sorry, not spin it too fast, or tighten it too tight, because you can end up distorting the piece. give that a little wiggle to see if I can move it. Nope. But what I'll do now is I'm going to bring up the tailstock with the live centre in it. Roland Price, thank you. Going to slow the lathe right down, just give it a little slow spin to start with. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of movement there. There's a little bit of movement from when we started turning the piece, but we're only taking off the tenon, so it's not going to matter that much. Glasses. Spindle gouge. I'm sorry you can't see particularly well on this, but you'll just have to trust me. Right. Oh, I need to bring the tool rest up a bit higher. Okay, these are Nova jaws, and they're a standard. I think they're a 12-inch set with a 2-inch extension on it. Giving a maximum diameter that we can hold with the jaws of 14 inches. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing, but I need the live centre in there to start with. I will be moving it out of the way in a minute because I can't get any closer now. Right, and just sharpen this gouge as well. Right, I think what we'll do is I'll just get the tenon off this, and then we'll do a little Q&A. And then, oh, Martin Chapello, thank you very much. And I think what we'll do after that is maybe head over to, I don't know, anybody fancy Zoom afterwards? Anybody fancy a little bit of a Zoom chat afterwards? You know, something like that. See each other face to face, which would be nice. Okay, let's bring up the tool rest a little bit. Now this is where it does get a little bit sketchy, because remember, the only thing that's holding this piece to the lathe now, those 8 buttons. So you've got to make these last few cuts really carefully. And if you can cut them by pushing inwards, what happens is you're just helping to push that piece up against the jaws, rather than if you take a cut like this, pushing away, what can happen is that it pops out. So always try and make sure the pressure is going inwards. There's just that tiny little bit there, so I will just turn the gouge round that way just to get rid of it. Speed them up a little. 450 RPM. Right, so now we can start. JJ, thank you. Now we can start to just undercut that a little bit. Drop the tool rest a smidge. Now it would be better if I could do a little push cut along here. I'd get a much finer cut, but I just want to be extra specially careful. undercut it a little bit more. Now when you're using coal jaws, bye Richard. When you're using coal jaws, you've got to remember to watch your arm on the outside edge here. That'll do. And then Matt Held, thank you. Oh, just got to bring that. Sorry for the funny angle. I'm just going to very quickly sand that off the bottom. And because I couldn't get all the way, when it was in the chuck a minute ago, I couldn't get all the way around here. So what I'll do is I'll just very quickly whiz round there. Oops. And I'll start with 240 because this wood's fairly soft. And I'm going to use a drill because of saving time. So that bye-bye to the old 240 pad, or the old 240 disc. And then the 400. I didn't put a mask on it for that because I do want to obviously keep talking, but there we go. Quite pleased with that. And now I can take that off the lathe. Glad I didn't go through the bottom of it. The last thing I wanted to do was make a funnel tonight. And there we are. There is our golden ratio bowl. So if I put it, I'll put it up there and I'll put it on top of another blank, and then I'll turn one of the cameras up so you can see it. That one, or that one, bend up. Won't bend up that high. Okay, it'll have to be the other one. Oh, that one. Oh, up a bit higher. There you go, that's about as good as I can get it. Oh, down a bit. Wrong button. There we go. There is our golden ratio bowl. So the diameter is 254 millimeters, and the foot is, as we were discussing earlier, a factor of 1 to 1.618 according to the diameter. The height of the bowl from obviously the top to the bottom of the foot is also a factor of 1.618, and the wall thickness 2, which you can't see, the wall thickness 2 is also a factor of 1.618. Mary Alice, thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. I'll put some oil on it just to sort of excuse the camera, just to finish it off a little bit. But I hope you like that. I do. I'm in two minds about the foot. If we just have a look at the diagram there. Is that the best one? No, let's go back to those. There we are. I'm in two minds about the foot. I like it in the picture, but I'm not sure if I'm too keen on it on the actual piece. Don't know. But it was a very, very interesting exercise. I'd love to have had a little bit more time to turn perhaps another one along one of those shapes. But I didn't, so yeah. Anybody got any questions? Question, Stephen Rickett. So the foot is 60mm, the same as the height, but rule of thirds would be either 84mm, 1/3 of 54. That's right, Stephen. They don't match completely. The rule of thirds and the golden ratio don't match completely. What I did, if we just have a look back at, can I see it? Oh, no. No, I'm just looking to see if I've got a diagram of all. No. Yeah, they don't match entirely perfectly, Stephen. But as Colin French was saying earlier, he mix and matches the two. So if you can mix and match the two without something looking, really, really dreadful, then go ahead and do it. James Cassidy, it would be helpful if coal jaws had an identifying letter against each hole on the individual segments. James, I absolutely agree with you. Yes. Yeah. What James is referring to there is on the coal jaws. Let's turn that off. On the coal jaws here, you've got lots of different holes that we can move the buttons to hold different diameter pieces, but there are no numbers up against it to say this is for a 4-inch bowl, this is for a 5-inch bowl, and that's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. Shay Mayer, is the paper between the bowl and the jaws just to protect the bowl? Yes, it does. Yeah, so just a little bit of paper behind the bowl, or between the bowl and the aluminium of the face. It will be enough just to keep it separate, just a fraction of a millimetre, so it doesn't damage. Design and make. Just want to tell you how much I've been enjoying Turner's journey. Do I still act? Wow, crikey, yeah, that was a couple of years ago now, I think, in Panto. I haven't had a chance to do any acting for at least 2 years. They keep asking me, but I haven't got time. Renee Norman, my hairline has abandoned me. Where can I get such a hat? Renee, mine's going as well. I bought my hat from Amazon. Clive Jeffrey, you agree this foot could be the next size up? Yep, absolutely. Twisted Trees, I tend to use it. Yeah. Alison Oram, thank you very much. Stuart, although the golden mean can be found in nature, it's never precise. No, that's absolutely right. It's not. It's not 1 to 1.618. It's infinite number of digits afterwards. So it's not absolutely bang on. Silk, yes, it would colour beautifully with frame and burnt orange. Gentle turn. Most of the time at some point you cut a log of wood to size. Where do you start with the math? Gentle turn, the diameter of the piece is determined by the log. And I would always cut a log as big as I possibly could to start with. Robert Hibbert, thank you. John PBH. Hey, you got a catenary curve. Awesome. One of these. Catenary curves. Really nice looking. It's a beautiful curve, completely natural. But anyway, you get the idea. Marky, sorry, you're welcome. Stephen Rickett, no Hampshire Sheen hats. Yes, there are, Stephen. If you head over to the Hampshire Sheen website, you can find them there in the shop. There are 3 different hats, I think, something like that. Sorry you missed most of it, Marky. Joseph, where can we find the dyes in the US? Joseph, they are available from the Walnut Log in Missouri at www.thewalnutlog.com or Woodworld of Texas, which is woodworldtx, all one word, .com. Tornado, the wall thickness is 14 millimeters. Rob CP, to me good design is not wrote in concrete but rather sand. I need that flexibility for a design change when I inevitably screw up. Rob, don't think like that. You know, it's always good to be flexible, which is great, you know, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you know, the more experienced you become, the easier finding shapes and turning curves will become, and the less catches you'll have, you know, that kind of thing. So don't put yourself down. Tornado Scott, you're welcome, and thanks for your help with Mike as well yesterday. Steve Robbins, quick question on the Pro Edge. Would the basic be enough for a newbie, or is the deluxe the best to go for? Steve, yeah, do the deluxe version. You get some extra bits and pieces that woodturners ideally need. So yes, go with the deluxe. You won't regret it. Bye Ted, thank you. Gentle turn, thank you very much. Stephen Rickett, do you prefer vacuum chuck over jaws? Stephen, I don't really know, to be fair. I think they've both got their merits. The cold jaws are easier to set up, straight from the off, as it were. So probably I would suggest the jaws over a vacuum chuck would be my preference. Frederick Day, how do you remove marks across the end grain? There is no tear out that can be felt, just marks. Frederick, I'm struggling with exactly what you mean there. I can't imagine any marks on the end grain that you can't feel, only see. But I'm going to resort to the standard response for marks on the wood and say make sure your gouge is properly nice and sharp, and make sure your tool presentation is good and you're just keeping the bevel lightly in contact with the wood rather than trying to push it in too much. Anthony's getting a lathe next week. Fantastic. Oh, like mine. Awesome. You won't regret it, Anthony. You'll love it. Fantastic piece of kit. Ian B, you're very welcome. Roberts Dreschel Buda, I think that's how you pronounce it. Where can I buy the Hampshire products in Germany? Roberts, at the moment there is nowhere in Germany that you can buy Hampshire Sheen, but if you speak to René Norman in Denmark, he may be able to send them to you. Mark the Gentleman Woodturner, nice to see you. Mark Wallington, thank you very much. Mick Fagan, if you went with the next size up with the foot, would that change the height of the bowl? No, not at all, Mick. All I wanted to do was just use the rules, or yeah, what I wanted to do was use the rules strictly for this piece. You don't have to do it. You don't have to divide it by a factor of 3. You could do it by 2, by 1, by 4, whatever you like. So the foot doesn't have to be the same height. Sorry, the foot doesn't have to be the same as the height. It just so happens that the blank I had worked to that combination. If it was a shallower bowl, I would have only done it, would have multiplied it 4 times, sorry. So you can mix and match, so long as you use those factors in working out your dimensions for the bowl, then you'll be fine. It doesn't matter. Hawkeye 2000 AD, thank you very much. Tim Elliott, do you have to use a sanding sealer or can you go straight to an oil? Tim, that is a good question and something that I think a lot of people get perhaps confused with. This, all I'm going to do is put a couple of coats of oil on it, nothing else. So it can be used as a fruit bowl perhaps, or a light salad bowl, something like that. The key to finishing is keeping it as simple as possible. So with an oil, just an oil, that's all you need. If you're going to be using colour, finishing then becomes a little bit more technical. I would suggest colouring it. Hang on. I would suggest you turn it, sand it, and then when you colour it, you've got a choice of either oiling it or sealing it and then finishing it. I think that's probably just confused you. If you're making a salad bowl, there's no need to seal it, or if anything comes into food contact, you don't need to use a sealer. Keep the finish as simple as you possibly can. There you go. Joseph Munch, have I considered Zoom classes? Yes, I am just days away from launching online classes via my website, which will be bookable there too. Thank you, Colin McKenzie. Carl Reeder, I'm using an Axminster AT2030. I guess you're in the US, so it's a big trade standard lathe, similar to some of the larger jets. There we go. Scott Hampton, yes, you can join in on Zoom. I will sort that out in a minute. My pronunciation is almost perfect, said Roberts. Oh, brilliant. Adam J, when do you use denatured alcohol? Or when do you use denatured alcohol after sanding? Adam, yes, I use denatured alcohol to clean open grain woods a lot of the time, like oak and ash and chestnut. That's when I use it, before I'm going to be using the embellishing waxes or putting on any kind of finish. One thing I really hate is dust in a finish, and if you've got an open grain wood like ash, for example, and you've just sanded it and you've got all that white dust sat in the grain, and then you put sanding sealer over it, that really bugs me, because your finish will actually be better if you get rid of that, I believe anyway. Silk's off to mix some 2-stroke oil for the BSA. I guess he's going to be out on the bike tomorrow. Joseph, the box sets of dies, the little sample packs, they are actually on the way to Jeff at the moment. They should be with him in the next couple of days. Hawkeye, do you ever scorch and then use your embellishing wax or gilt cream? Yes, I do, and I'm just thinking if I've got a piece up here that I have. Oh yes, I do. Here we go. Hawkeye 2000 AD, there's one. This was actually the very first live demonstration I did back about the 16th of March, I think. So that's ash. It's been very heavily scorched, then cleaned, a couple of coats of sanding sealer, I think, and then the purple embellishing wax put in the grain. Matt Held, do you ever use a Longworth chuck or a donut chuck instead of cold jaws? Matte, no I don't, because I don't have either of them. I don't have either of those. I don't have either of them. I would love to try a Longworth chuck, but I haven't got one, and I have no intention. They're Matt and anybody in the US. Craig at Woodworld of Texas has a big shipment waiting to be delivered. It should hopefully be delivered tomorrow, if not today. It is there. I can see that it is in Garland, Texas, which is just down the road from where Craig is in Dallas. So it is there. So just please have some patience, and it will be there for you, I promise. Frederick, you're very welcome. Rob CB, question: can white spirit be used to get rid of dust, or is that totally different? Rob, white spirit is different to methylated spirits, but yes, it is different to methylated spirits. And I think you could use it. You could use white spirit instead of meths. I don't think it makes that much difference, to be fair. Paul Kavanagh, thank you very much for the offer. No, I'm fine. I don't need to borrow a Longworth chuck. Maybe when there's a little bit more time, I'll think about it. But if you send it to me, it will just end up being like a woodcut bowl saver that Axminster sent me to play with over a year ago, and I still haven't taken it out of its box. So thank you anyway, Paul. But I'm not going to have time. Right, I'm going to set up a Zoom meeting, and we'll do a quick Zoom meeting, maybe 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. Mary Ann Russell, yes, you can get the you can get the colours in Canada from Woodsley Summercraft. That's www.woodsley, WOODSLEE, Summercraft, SUMMERCRAFT.ca, woodsley-summercraft.ca, and that's a really lovely chap called Rob Summerlin. Design and make, will you ever do another vlog series such as Turner's Journey? Design and make, that's a really interesting one. I haven't actually formally finished Turner's Journey, so I could just pick it up where I left off. The problem I've got is time to put them together. I could do them fairly, quick and dirty, as it were. Just make it and send it up off a phone or something and not worry about any titles or what have you. I could do that, I guess. That would be alright, wouldn't it? Oh, Stuart Farini. Oh, I didn't know you were here. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, Stuart Farini. Right, okay, I'm going to fire up Zoom. And, oh, hang on a minute. Just turn that on. Right, that should still be streaming okay. Fire up Zoom. New meeting. Right, if you bear with me a second, I will post a link to it. Invite. Email. Bear with me. Oh. Copy that. Close that. Come back. Oh my God! I think think I'm back now. Everything has gone wrong. You can tell I haven't done a demo for 2 weeks. I'm all out of practice. Gosh. Right. Okay. Here is the link to the Zoom meeting if you want to come over there for a little while. But for now, what I'm going to say is I'm going to say thank you everybody for joining me this evening. It's been a really interesting demo this evening. So as you know, I did have to make it up very much largely on the fly. But I do hope that the demonstration has given you some food for thought about these lines and these curves and stuff that we all turn regularly, and we may not get them absolutely right, but we all turn them. We've all got the ability to turn them. But next time you're turning a bowl, perhaps give it some thought about what kind of shapes and the rules for the proportions and stuff. I could talk for ages and ages and ages about proportions, etc. But I'm not going to. I think there is enough information there for you to be thinking about for the time being. So I'll say a big thank you to everybody for joining in. To everybody who's made a super chat this evening, I really appreciate it. You're all absolute stars. And the link again for coming into Zoom, if you want to, is just there. The meeting is open. I will join it in a second. Yes, I will join it in a second. But thank you very much indeed for watching this evening, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon for another demo. And I haven't got a closing screen, I'm afraid, tonight. So thank you very much indeed, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again soon.